But he has the greatest stores in the world, and they want to shop. Our country is the greatest store in the world of that kind, and everybody wants a piece of it. And they took advantage of us for years because we allowed our presidents allowed it to happen. You know, I don't blame China, and I don't blame Vietnam, and I could name every single country all the way up and down the line, South Korea. Every single country took advantage of us without exception. Japan, these are friends of mine, but they took advantage of this country. They ripped off our country, selling us millions and millions of cars a year, and we sold them none. We weren't allowed to sell them a car. They took advantage of us. I don't blame them. I blame the people that sat behind that desk that allowed it to happen, but I don't allow it to happen. I didn't in the first term, but this is a much stronger position because we had the greatest economy in history in our first term. Stock market was up 88%, and we had numbers much better than that. But this is going to be, I think, a much better term, and I think the tariffs are starting to come in. We were losing $5 billion plus a day on trade. Now we're not losing that kind of money, and we'll soon be making a lot of money a day and a year and a month.
So, welcome to the evening show. Some things happened since our afternoon show. Some big things happened, which we're going to go through. First and foremost, that was Steve Witkoff being sworn in as the envoy ambassador to the Middle East. Steve Envoy is basically the Swiss Army knife of the Trump campaign. And I mean that with all due respect. Whenever he needs something done, Steve Witkoff, hey, go send Steve. Steve, get over to Ukraine, get over to China. Whatever needs to happen, Israel, Gaza, Steve Witkoff has been the man that Trump trusts dearly to get some of this stuff done. And so now he's talking about, for some reason, the media doesn't get this whatsoever. They can't put it into their thick heads that we are the world's consumer. Everybody wants us. Imagine you want to open up a restaurant, and you want to open up a restaurant, and the people who can afford your steak, who can afford your seafood, who can afford the valet parking. You don't open that restaurant in the hood. You definitely don't want to open it in the hood. You want to open it where the best, most affluent, the most advantageous consumers will be around your restaurant. And President Trump has been trying to tell the media, that's us. For some reason, they don't want to listen. For some reason, all they care about is just destroying America. And I used to think maybe it was just, opposition to President Trump. But I'm like, no. If you want people to prosper, if you want this country to prosper, you should want it to prosper under any president. But no, all they do is tear down, tear down, tear down, and they have no message whatsoever to the American people, except hate Trump, which isn't going to work long term. But President Trump continued taking some questions after they swore in Steve Witkoff.
Really crunch time. I would tell you, for Iran and for their country, this is a very important time for Iran. This is the most important time in the history of Iran for Iran. And I hope they do what's right. I'd love to see a peace deal, a strong peace deal. They cannot have a nuclear weapon, but I would say that this is the single most important period in the history of Iran, which is a long history. And we want it to be a great country. Let it be a tremendously successful, rich country. They have everything you need. The people are incredible. They have vast amounts of oil and assets. We want it to be a successful country. We don't want to do anything that's going to get in the way of that, but they can't have a nuclear weapon. And if they choose to go a different route, it's going to be a very sad thing. And it's something we don't want to have to do, but we have no choice. They're not going to have a nuclear weapon. They're not going to have a nuclear weapon. Do you understand that? Okay. I can say unrelated to that, she's a disaster for New York. She's a horrible, horrible human being.
This is who he's talking about, is Letitia James, Big Letty. I don't know why they would have dared to ask a question about Letitia James in a press conference, but they made the mistake, and so he's letting them know.
And I think she's a total crook. There's no question about it, but that's just my opinion. Pam's going to have to do what she wants. She's a very bad person. She's a very, very bad person who campaigned solely on, I'm going to get Donald Trump over and over again. She's a sick person, but that's has nothing to do with what Pam does. Pam is going to do what's right. She always does. I've known her a long time.
What's interesting about that is now it's graduated to the Pam's going to take care of that. What exactly do you mean there? If that's the first indication at this point that Pam Bondi is on the Letitia James case. He's never made that acknowledgement. So now Big Letty's got something to seriously worry about. She was crying before. She was moaning. She was afraid of Trump. Now Trump's like, I don't even have to worry about it. She's gonna handle the small work. So Big Letty, you can talk all you want, but you're about to get the full force of the Department of Justice coming down on your shoulder. You're a big woman, maybe you can handle it, but the one thing I can tell you about mortgage fraud is that unlike, you have to go and take forensics and dust off fingerprints if somebody breaks into a building, and you want to make sure you take pictures and they do the measurements, and if there's a dead person, they do the chalk and they try to put it all together. You've seen the show First 48. When the first 48 is most important, because if we don't solve it in the first 48 hours, the guy may get away. And we're going to go down the street, and we're going to talk to friends and check the No. I'm sorry. This is probably one of the easiest crimes to detect and one of the easiest crimes to prove. It only has a couple questions. Is that your signature? I'm just asking. Did you sign this document? I got experts here who will say that's your signature, so you might as well just answer. And by the way, you're an officer of the court. You're an attorney general. Is that your signature? Yes. Okay. Is this the loan application? Yes. On this loan application, it says blah, 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 blah. Is this true or is it a lie? And you're done. I mean, there's nothing else there. You're going to say, I didn't know? No, you're an attorney general. You knew. It'll probably be the shortest case ever. The defense, I have no idea when she keeps saying, bring it on. Well, Letty, it's pretty easy. I could probably try this case, and I'm not even an attorney. And I didn't sleep at a 7-Eleven. 7-Eleven. A Motel 6 or a Holiday Inn. None of that stuff. I slept in my own bed, and I probably can try this case. It's really, really simple. So I don't know how she's going to get out of a mortgage fraud case. They would have to be some sort of magician to try and pretend as though she didn't do this. The woman's toast. You're looking at a walking ghost at this point. There's no way she can get out of it. You guys who have bought real estate, you know when you buy a house or an apartment building or whatever else, you know the stack of documents. You're signing and you're signing and you're signing. Page after page after page. The promissory note, the mortgage, the deeds, all of it.
Initials.
It's just pages and pages and pages of her signature. What are you going to do? And then all they've got to do is go find the title company, which is usually stamped on it. Hey, did you do the closing here? Yeah. Was she sitting here? Yeah. Or did you do a mail away? Either way. Did it go to this address? Yeah. So she wasn't living here when you had to mail away the mortgage. She's done. Absolutely. That's why I say, I ain't got to worry about her. Pam Bondi's going to take care of it. Because this is an open and shut case. I'm telling you, for someone who's bought a whole lot of property, there ain't no way out of this for her. None.
No, it's a shame. We just heard about it just as we were walking in the doors of the Oval. Just heard about it. I guess people knew something was going to happen. They saw a little bit of the past. They've been fighting for a long time. They've been fighting for many, many decades and centuries, actually, if you really think about it. No, I just hope it ends very quickly.
So what he was referring to there, in case you guys have not heard the news, India decided tonight to bomb Pakistan. They decided to open up a can of whoop-you-know-what on Pakistan. Not sure why, but it is what it is. And it's going to keep going until they get whatever they want. I've got videos of the bombing, but because we're here, I can't show that stuff to you. However, when we do the jump over, I might be able to show it to you depending on how much time we have. So just let me explain to you, those of you who haven't, weren't here for the first time we did it, at about 8:30, maybe 8:45, depending how far I get in this part of the broadcast. I'm going to be doing the rest of the show at that time over on Rumble. And so you'll see, I'll let you guys know. I'm just not going to disappear. At about 8:30, 8:45, I'm going to say, hey, right now I'm cutting this off and we're going to all go over to Rumble. You're going to go to this link. It's going to take you specifically to that Rumble page. And then we're going to talk about some other things. And I've got my interview with Ted Nugent. Oh, did I tell you that? Did I tell you I interviewed Ted Nugent? Oh, that's an amazing interview. Amazing interview. In fact, maybe because I'm a fanboy, but I found it to be an amazing interview. So when we get to this point, I'll post this, and so you've got time. As it's 7:45 right now, probably 45 minutes to an hour or so, maybe a little bit more. And go ahead, and it's free. You don't have to pay anything to go access Rumble. Just go ahead. You can go to that link again, and let me leave it up for a second so the mods can make sure to put it in the chat here on YouTube so people know where to go. And I just want to clarify, I am not leaving YouTube. I am not one of the people in that lineup thing that said, "Oh, we're not going to." No, I love YouTube. I don't like the censorship, but YouTube's been very, very good to me. And so what we're doing is basically splitting broadcast, where we can do some stuff here, and then we'll do some stuff there. So just to let you know, as I move forward, the stuff I'm going to be doing on Rumble is going to be a lot different than the stuff I do here. The stuff I do here is more going to be direct news, commentary, sharing different things that I found in terms that might be of relevance that you want to see. And the stuff over at Rumble is going to be more of a, how can I say, topics I can't talk about here, and with a heavy dose of entertainment as well. So it may not be your cup of tea. I understand that. It may not be your cup of tea. And I'll explain more when we get there to that 8:30 or 8:45 juncture. But when that happens, we'll have plenty of time for you guys to get ready. All right, so now I got for you, President Trump had a task force about the World Cup. And at this World Cup task force, I believe Kristi Noem, J.D. Vance, and then, of course, the people from FIFA, F-I-F-A, the soccer, we call it soccer, some of you may call it football, organization were there. And he's talking about the World Cup coming to the United States. Let's listen in.
Thank you, JD. FIFA President Gianni Infantino, FIFA Senior Advisor Carlos Cordaro, and CEO of Fox Sports, Eric Shanks. Where's Eric? Where's Eric Shanks? Hello, Eric. Well, you got a pretty good seat. I don't know. It's not bad. If I'm looking for you at this table, you should be at this table. Hi, Eric. Along with members of my cabinet, Scott Bessent, Pam Bondi, Howard Lutnick, Sean Duffy, Kristi Noem, Russ Vogt, Deputy Secretary Christopher Landau, and Deputy Secretary Steve Feinberg. I also want to welcome two of my very good friends, Bernard Arnault and Alex Arnault. They own a little company around the world. One of their smaller companies is Tiffany, and Tiffany made the beautiful trophy, and I guess it's around here someplace, not this one, the other one, wherever it may be. Here it is behind me. And it's really a work of art. But I want to just welcome Bernard and Alex. Where are you? Where are you? Okay, good. They have no lack of cash. I know that. They're great. And they're great people. We've been friends for a long time.
So some of you might be wondering, why are you covering this? Because as you saw, it must be really important because half the cabinet's there. JD, Scott Bessent, Howard Lutnick, Kristi Noem. So this is an important task force and meeting for America.
Thank you very much for being here. It's a great honor to have you both. We're also joined by Senators Shelley Moore Capito and Todd Young. Where are they? Where are they? Hi, Shelley. How are you? Hi, Todd. How you doing? You're getting younger looking, Todd. I'll tell you. It's pretty young to start off with, right? Oh, you too. She said, what about me? What are you two? Even more so, Todd, right? That's very cute. Representatives Damon LaHood and Brian Stile, thank you very much. Thank you very much, fellas. Thank you. Good. FBI Director Kash Patel is doing a fantastic job. Thank you very much, Kash. Appreciate it. And our Executive Director, Andrew Giuliani, just got the post, and he's going to be great. I know him for a long time. He's a highly competitive golfer, which, I mean, really good. And he's also a highly competitive person, and he loves what we're doing. So I want to congratulate you and your family and your father, your great father, who's the greatest mayor in the history of New York. So I want to congratulate the family. It's a big post. You better do well, Andrew.
All right, so in case you heard him say it, Andrew Giuliani is going to be the main dog running this task force for FIFA, and Andrew Giuliani is obviously the son of Rudy Giuliani.
Tell him, is my golf game okay too? Oh, so he knew what to say, see? Well, he's a smart person, that's why I appointed him. Together, this group will help plan the biggest, safest, and most extraordinary soccer tournament in history, and that's what it's going to be, Johnny. In my first term, I negotiated the return of the World Cup to America, and now in my second term, I'll have the honor of hosting the World Cup for the first time of any president in more than 30 years. And remember, we also have a few other events. I must tell you that we have the 2028 Olympic Games. We have the 250-year celebration of America. That's a big one. I don't know. Maybe that's the biggest. I don't know. That could be the biggest. But that's going to be unbelievable. It's going to be essentially, Todd, that's going to be a year-long celebration. We have the G20, and that'll be in December of 26. We have the G7, used to be the G8, by the way, and that's in 2027. And that's a lot of action we have going for the next 4 years, 3.5 years. It's going to be amazing for the country, I believe. Starting this June, the United States will host the 2025 Club World Cup, which will feature 32 elite soccer clubs from all over the world competing in 63 matches across 11 American cities, including Cincinnati, Ohio, Charlotte, North Carolina, Los Angeles, California, Nashville, Tennessee, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. So we have it in 11 American cities all over. And these are great cities, too, and they like soccer more and more. I guess some of those cities specifically, they really love it. And next summer, we'll host the official 2026 World Cup tournament, where 48 national teams will compete in 78 matches right here in the USA. And that'll be something very, very different and very special. These events will attract millions of passionate fans around the world, and he's a good soccer player, too. He's a little tall for soccer, but that's okay. And over 1 billion viewers. You're going to have one of the biggest viewerships of any sport at any time. This will be a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to showcase the beauty and the greatness of America, and we can't wait to welcome soccer fans from all over the globe. I don't know if I'm supposed to say soccer or football, because every time I say soccer, Baron and Eric say you're really saying it wrong. It's supposed to be football, but we know it more as soccer. These events will also generate tens of billions of dollars in economic activity for local businesses and create thousands and thousands of jobs for American workers. I've directed my entire team to do everything within our power to make the World Cup an unprecedented success, and that's what it's going to be. We're going to make sure of it. The State Department, the Department of Homeland Security, and every part of the U.S. government will be working to ensure that these events are safe and successful, and those traveling to America to watch the competition have a seamless experience during every part of their visit. It's going to be very special. Together, we will ensure that the 2026 World Cup will be the best-run soccer tournament the world has ever seen. This is going to blow every other tournament you did. You're going to say how terrible a job you did in the past, because this is so much better, Gianni. This is going to blow them all away. I don't want to insult my other friends from other countries, but we're going to blow them away, right? So now I'd like to introduce, and he has been a friend of mine. We fought very hard to get the event, and I think before the media came in, I said that I was very disappointed because I got the event, Johnny. I think we can say that strongly. And then I said it won't be in my term, and I won't be able to see it. And then bad things happened with the election, and now we do see it. So I just repeat that because for the press to hear, I'm sure they're thrilled to hear it. But I'd like to ask FIFA President Gianni Infantino, really one of the most powerful men in sports. It's amazing because you've done such an incredible job with soccer. Followed by Vice President J.D. Vance, then Secretary Kristi Noem, and Secretary Sean Duffy to say a few words. So Johnny, and then we'll go in that order. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
Basically some teams in Canada and the United States. This is the World Cup. Now, I have the advantage of over some people by living in South Florida and seeing how rabid some of the people are from other countries about football. They're having to build a new stadium down here to host the new, I wouldn't say new football team, Inter Miami, which joined into the MLS. They're playing in Fort Lauderdale now in a stadium they refurbished there for like 25,000 people. You can't get a ticket. Then they're moving it down to Miami. Brand new stadium. It's probably going to host probably like 50,000 people. There are going to be so many people coming to America legally to watch the World Cup, and they are going to spend a ton of money. I got a taste of it this weekend. Robin and I, as I told you, went down to meet Ashley in Miami because she had a 5-hour layover between her flight from the Dominican Republic back home. And then on our way out, F1 was this weekend. So if you guys aren't familiar with F1, it's basically IndyCar type racing, and it's loud and it's fast and it's mostly international in terms of its appeal. We have NASCAR. Americans love NASCAR, but F1 is like up here in terms of appeal internationally and in terms of monetarily. I mean, it's big money. So when you understand what the World Cup is doing and what President Trump is making such a big deal of this, is because it truly is inviting the world to the United States. And they're going to spend, as the other guy was saying, 10 million tickets. Just let that sink in for a second. 10 million tickets. That's insane. And what do you say, $50 billion of potential revenue worldwide? That's crazy. And then 300,000 jobs. So this is a very big deal. Even if you don't understand what the World Cup is, this is something that Trump is going to have as a trophy, and that's why he's got all these people around the table, because this thing has to come off without a hitch. From jobs to security to transportation, everything has to be top notch. Let's see here.
America for the celebration of 2 World Cups, which will bring the world to the United States. A few million fans will come, a few billion will watch it from home, but everyone will be happy and everyone will be celebrating how the United States of America will put up the best events ever that the world has seen. Not just sport events, but the best events. We are here for that. We are here to work for that. We are here to work all together as a team to celebrate the United States, the 250th anniversary, as well to celebrate the world and the World Cup around a soccer ball or a football, and to make sure that everything happens as well, as you said, Mr. President, in a safe, in a secure environment. So we have, and the world has, of course, full and entire confidence in the United States and in all the partners, in all the agencies, to make sure that we will bring to the world something that they have never seen and they will probably never see again. Thank you very much. We are here for that. And
going on the field.
Great events don't happen unless you have great planning, and starting well over.
Mark Carney as governor, as you did with Trudeau. And the second question. You said earlier that you don't have to sign any trade deals, of course. Is there any country you expect to sign a trade deal with this week, as Secretary Bessent has indicated?
Well, we're looking at a lot of them. We're talking to a lot of them right now. I think I don't want to bore people with that, but I gave a very long definition this morning in the Oval Office. We're in very, very good shape. This country's never been in better shape, and we're doing great. We were being ripped off by every country in the world virtually, and now we're not being ripped off anymore. It's very simple, very, very simple. As far as calling him Governor Carney, no, I haven't done that yet, and maybe I won't. I did have a lot of fun with Trudeau, but I think this is a big step up. It's a good step up for Canada. I watched very closely. I thought he did really terrifically in the debates. I like him. You know, he's a nice man. We get along very well. We had a great meeting today. Really good. I think the relationship's going to be very strong. Thank you. Yes.
Russia is banned from playing the next World Cup. What's your position on this?
Say it again.
Russia has been banned from playing the next World Cup. What's your position on this?
I didn't know that. Is that right? The one
That is right. They are banned for the time being,
Okay.
from playing. But we hope that
He's the boss. I'm not the boss on that. I have nothing to do.
we hope that something happens and peace will happen, and then Russia can be readmitted. So that's what we hope.
Possible. Hey, that could be a good incentive, right? We want to get them to stop. We want them to stop. We want the 5,000 young people a week are being killed. It's not even believable. The Russian soldiers and the Ukrainian soldiers mostly. Also people in towns every 2 weeks. Horrible thing going on over there. So we're gonna get that war stopped. Okay.
About all of the events that will be happening here in the U.S. over the next few years. You mentioned the G7 and you said it used to be called the G8.
Yeah.
As the host country, you can actually invite Russia to the G7 plus one. What's your thinking on that right now, Mr.
Well, Russia used to be a member of what was called then the G8. And I don't think I was really in politics at that point, but I know that President Obama didn't like it. And they voted Russia out. And I say if they didn't vote Russia out, which I thought was a very foolish decision because it's a group of people sitting around a table. I've done it many times with them. And you get to know them. And I say that if it was the G8, if Russia were in it, I think you probably wouldn't have this ridiculous, deadly war going on right now. I thought it was a very bad decision. It was headed by Trudeau, by the way, and Obama. They were the ones that really fought hard to get Russia out. I think if Russia were in, you wouldn't be. They threw them out. And because of that, maybe millions of people are dying. Millions, millions. The numbers are far greater than you think. But millions of people are dying. If he was sitting around a table with other people, 7 people, hammering him and saying, let's not do this, I think you wouldn't probably have had the problems that you've had.
President, to get Russia back into this group?
No, I think it's not good timing now. No, right now, it's... we missed that gate, didn't we, huh? We missed that gate with another great decision by some people that shouldn't have been making decisions. Yes, go ahead.
Mr. President, should people who have taken part in, for example, pro-Palestinian protests across the world be concerned about being able to join the World Cup and watching here in the U.S.?
Well, I don't know what you mean by that, but people that have taken part in protests, I think people are allowed to protest. You have to do it in a reasonable manner, not necessarily friendly, but reasonable. Otherwise, Pam will come after you and you're going to have a big problem. You're going to have a big problem, right, Pam? She's doing a good job, too. Well, my whole team here is doing a fantastic job. We're very proud of them. So, yeah, you have a right to protest. Yeah, thank you. Go ahead. Yeah.
Do you support Israel's plan to conquer Gaza if Hamas doesn't agree to a deal during your visit?
That's a soccer meeting,
questions.
idiot.
I never like when they read them off a machine. I don't know. Who's sending you the question to you? And let's not talk about that now. We're talking about the World Cup. Go ahead. What else? Anything else? I think we're pretty well set. I want to thank everybody, and we're going to make this tremendously successful. And You can see Johnny's a very enthusiastic man. He's got great enthusiasm, and that's one of the reasons that you've had such success over the last number of years that you've been there. Amazing. He's like somebody that just woke up on Christmas morning as a young child and saw those toys under the tree, and that enthusiasm really plays very well, I have to say. And you've done a fantastic job as the head, and we're gonna do what we have to do. And thank you very much. Thank you, everybody, very much. Appreciate it.
I hope President Trump does that more and more and more when he's talking to the press. I'm talking about this. I'm not taking any questions outside of this. So if you came in here to disrupt my people and talk about something we're not talking about, you might as well leave now. What? Israel? What do you think about Israel taking over Gaza? Is that the name of a player? You moron? That's absolutely insane. So, did have a little bit of breaking news I wanted to share with you, so let's check this out real quick.
The world has been coming to the U.S., and China has been the missing piece. I was going to be in Switzerland to negotiate with the Swiss. Turns out the Chinese team is traveling through Europe, and they will be in Switzerland also. So we will meet on Saturday and Sunday. And, look, we have shared in.
All right, so this is huge. As you can see by the chyron up there, this happened at 7 o'clock tonight. Scott Bessent has announced that China and the United States will be meeting and talking trade in Switzerland. All day long, President Trump has been saying, you know what, there might be a deal here or deal there. Something might be happening. And they've been asking about China. And now it appears that there is going to finally be a sit down in a neutral location. So let's finish what he's saying here.
That this isn't sustainable, as I said before, especially on the Chinese side. And 145%, 125% is the equivalent of an embargo. We don't want to decouple. What we want is fair trade.
But who made the first call? Like in a dating world, like who makes the first call here today?
There are lots of calls, Laura. Is that there isn't a first call. There are a lot of contact points over time.
All right, so you heard it. Scott Bessent, Secretary of the Treasury, has now come out and said they will be meeting with China this weekend. So he's going to be leaving the country, going to go sit down with the Chinese contingent, and maybe over the next, 7 days or so, they might be able to hammer out a deal. Whatever that deal ends up, it's going to be something that really, really affects China more than it affects us, because we don't need China. There may be some people in the United States who feel that because they want cheap stuff. But the reality of it is they need us. They need this economy to fuel their economy. Without us, you're taking that right off the table. That's absolutely huge. Like Lisa says, MAGA, baby, absolutely. Absolutely. All right, so let me go ahead and what am I going to do here? All right, so before we switch over, I want to go over this with you, and this is tonight's 10 stories. Let's do this.
Here's the big finish. 10 stories that you just gotta hear. Number 10.
The other part of that, and that's something that we're in the middle of right now, and that is this budget reconciliation bill. If we lock in tax rates, meaning no tax increases, and you not only renew current tax rates for 10 years, but permanently, if we get a permanent American tax code where rates aren't going to be subject to going up depending on who's in Congress, I think that'll bring even more stability to the economy and trillions of new investment that is just sitting on the sidelines right now.
Number 9.
A full suite of consequences here on this. What about the threat of blocking mergers? And that's particularly interesting on Verizon, who you've also requested some information, I know, on the DEI front and trying to get their deal done with Frontier Communications. Would you potentially block that deal because of DEI policy?
Yeah, of course. We've been working with Verizon, though. I think we've got that in a pretty good shape. Hope to see some progress on that in the next couple of weeks. But I've told everybody that if they want to get a deal done before the FCC, they need to get rid of any invidious forms of discrimination. Again, the FCC has EEO rules. we can't approve a transaction unless we find that it's in the public interest. So we're working through these DEI issues with a lot of different companies that are trying to get deals done at the FCC.
And on the question.
All right, so those two things kind of go hand in hand with me. That was Steve Scalise was in the first clip talking about doing the beautiful, big, beautiful deal and getting the tax cuts done. And the FCC chairman saying, hey, listen, you want these big mergers, you're going to have to get rid of the DEI stuff as well. To me, I think that I put that a lot together because those two things together, just to explain, reconciliation, as you heard it earlier from Representative Hunt, you don't need 60 votes. You only need a majority to get that done. So if they get the majority done with the reconciliation on the big, beautiful deal, America is going to explode financially. Just want you to be ready for that because as things move forward, if those mergers happen, you saw the numbers. Tens of billions of dollars. Couple that with tax savings. And now you got China wanting to sit down with Scott Bessent. That's like the perfect storm of prosperity for America. Those things come together, Democrats are done. And nobody's going to care what they have to say. Because as I've mentioned many times, even the nuts are going to be able to benefit from what President Trump is putting together.
Number 8.
The president believes we can achieve more together. This is the abundant vision he has for the future. He wants everyone to be a part of it. Thousands of businesses are now catching the president's vision. Since he assumed office in January, companies have pledged to invest trillions into the U.S. economy. President Trump has secured more investment for our country in 100 days than President Biden did during all 4 years.
And you know what's funny? That's an irrefutable stat. The Democrats can't talk about this is very interesting to me. Whenever you watch them on television, and I've got some cuts for you because it's comic relief. They can't talk about what Trump is doing. Because if they talk about what Trump is doing, it destroys them. So they have to make up stuff and just keep fanning the flames of the nuts and say, DEI, DEI. Meanwhile, in about 3 weeks, all we're going to have is bullhorns full of DEI. You know what happens in June. You know what month that is. So it's kind of hard for them to say, well, hey, we're kind of oppressed and he wants to take away this. And yet across the country, in most of these liberal areas, we're going to see parade after parade after parade. So they have nothing that they can say negative about Trump that's actually true.
Earners, too, are starting to understand what the president is trying to accomplish. March saw one of the highest levels ever recorded for new business applications. Many of these men and women, like many of you, are grasping that America First is a blueprint for a more abundant world.
Number 7.
I can say that I am highly confident that we have 18 important trading partners. We'll put China to the side. The 17 other partners, many of them have approached us with the very good trade proposals. President Trump is going to be involved in all of those. He will be the final decision maker. And we'll see where that goes. But I think that at the end of this, even if we have tariffs still in place, because the non-tariff trade barriers are coming down, because we can see an end to some of the currency manipulation, the unfair subsidy of labor and capital from the other countries, we could see the more frictionless trade.
I know sometimes when I talk about financial stuff, some people get tuned out, they think it's a bad thing. And I'm sitting here talking to Robin and we're salivating. If you're not paying attention to what's about to happen, you're going to miss out. There's nothing wrong with you seeking a more prosperous life. There's nothing wrong with you seeking to take better care financially of your family and your loved ones. There is so much about to happen. I feel like we're strapped onto a stallion like at the Kentucky Derby, and we're just waiting for the gates to open. And when those gates open, you better be holding on. And also, you better make sure you got a good horse. See, a lot of people are and the media is keeping people away from even getting in the horse race. They don't even want you to know what's going on. I try to bring it to you because I'm like, this is about to break loose. Those gates are going to fly open, and people who got the good horses are going to be in this race while everybody else is in the bleachers wondering what the hell is going on. I mean, literally, you can use whatever analogy you want. Rocket ship, horse race, things are about to explode. And if they happen in the timing that it looks like, you're going to see so much anticipatory prosperity like you've never seen. What'll happen to you personally when they pass no tax on tips? What'll happen to you personally when there's no income tax on overtime? What is going to happen to you when there's no income tax on Social Security? Well, if you're like most humans, you're going to be spending more. Yeah, some of us will save, but you're like, hey, I just got an extra whatever. Hey, honey, you want to go out to dinner? You want to go to a movie? You want to do something? You want to talk about maybe doing some traveling as we're getting into the summer? Understand, no tax on overtime. So you've got policemen and firemen and all kinds of construction people who are customarily working overtime. And there's no income tax on that? Man, I know some police officers. I gotta call my police officer buddy up in Central Florida and go, hey man, how many hours do you work at construction sites? And now all of that will be tax-free? Just think to yourself, how much more money that would be if every time you look at your overtime earnings and it's like net, you're not having to pay taxes on that. That's huge. So let me ask you a question. If they pass this through the budget reconciliation by August, that's what Wesley Hunt was saying. They pass this, and you're not having to pay taxes on all those things. I don't want to name all over again. Are you going to care if your dollar store stuff is all of a sudden $1.75? Is it going to bother you that it's more expensive? No. Why? Because you're not paying the taxes, your grocery prices are less, your gas is less, and so everything around it is less. And so if you want to go pick up a trinket from budget store, go ahead. That's the kind of mindset it defeats the Democrats. It kills them. They can't cry because people are like, I got more money, so I don't care if it goes up a little bit. That's the catch. That's why they're fighting the tax cuts, because they want you to feel the pain. They don't want these tax cuts to happen, because then they could blame Trump. Oh, people they're dying out here. They got no money. Well, that's because you won't let the tax cuts take place. And I'm telling you, it's going to go off the chain.
6. The safety net that had been basically now being put back together for those communities which was being overburdened by the illegal immigration. So get the American people so they have it. They say, you said you'd do it, and you did it, and we appreciate it. But again, the important thing is that we elected him for a variety of reasons that were important. Inflation, the border, DEI, the military, respect for America, and things like just tweeting out a picture of you as the Pope is deeply offensive to a great many people.
I'm done with these cuts. I'm done with the Trey Gowdies and Karl Rose of the world who find their depends are too tight. You can't laugh? Are you kidding me? How many pictures, blimps, music videos, you name it, that people have put on Trump? Can't count them. You're sounding like the people in China. You're sounding like the people in Europe. You're pissed off because there's a meme. A meme. He went on Fox News. They let him on here, and he's crying and whining about a meme. These people need to be exercised. Get rid of them. Get them out of the party.
Out there and saying, for example, this guy from Maryland, I don't know whether he's a good guy or a bad guy. I don't know if he's a gang member or not. But the fact is bring him back to the United States, lay out the facts in a court of law.
Did you hear him? Now he went from saying, don't make pictures about the Pope, to bring the Maryland man. I don't know if he's good or bad. You haven't been paying attention, Carl. Go ask your wife's boyfriend if you can, pay attention to what's going on. He seriously just said that. So at this point, he's ruined his entire credibility, whatever he had left, by saying, I don't know if he's bad. Bring him back here and let him go through a court of law. Are you flipping kidding me?
And get it done. Don't. It does no good to let that thing go out there for 4 or 5 weeks and eat away at the president's approval on immigration. Take a look at the difference between approval ratings on the border, where he is in positive territory by a good margin, and handling the issue of immigration, which includes these other things, and it's significantly less, and he's upside down. That shows the discernment of the American people. Recognize that.
Say it again. Republicans don't know how to win. I just can't with these people. Can't.
Work at a certain point in his life.
That's all true.
So now watching how this second term has played out, what do you make of it? And what do you make of his motivation at this stage and how he's changed?
Well, I think his motivations have always stayed the same. You can understand most of what he does through two lenses. It's either self-aggrandizement or self-preservation. It's really rarely anything other than those two things. And I think when he's getting into a Sunday show where he's kicking around the idea of whether he'll run again, I agree with Max. I don't think we can believe anything he's saying. I think Donald Trump would like to live till he's 300, and I think he'd like to be president for 200 more years if he could. And I don't think we'll really know where he lands on this till we get towards the end of his term. He was happy putting out under the White House imprimatur photos of himself in the guise of the Pope.
Yeah, these people was lit. I can't imagine. How would you go to a party with these people? I cannot believe he put out himself as a picture of the Pope. Huh?
I don't think he's got any inclination to let it just go away, whether or not he's going to run for the presidency again. But as I was watching that clip, one of the things that really struck me is Donald Trump has aged. When people talk about the things that are going to get in the way of a third term for Donald Trump, obviously it's voters, obviously it's the 22nd Amendment, but he's turning 79 in June. He lives in fear of going down the path his father went down, which was dementia followed by Alzheimer's.
These people, and I'm only showing this for some comedic relief here, because this is what they're being fed on the left. This is the kind of stuff that they're being told, and people just nod along. Yes, you're so right. He's worried about having dementia. I don't even, like I said, and I've told you many times, they have nothing. This is what you're spending network television time on, talking about Donald Trump. You think, he must have said, I think this. Nobody gives a shit what you think. What do you know? Well, I know you're an idiot because right now you're trying to tell people Donald Trump is he's possibly going to get dementia.
His 90s, and I think he's carried that burden forever. And watching how he answers questions now, compared to Donald Trump and Trump 1.0, he slurs his words a little, he looks weary, he is slouched, and I don't know how much authentic enthusiasm he has for the power and the office he holds, other than the fact that it keeps him out of jail and it keeps him center stage.
So who inherits all of this?
Even the guy next to him was like, oh, come on, man. I know I'm supposed to play the stooge up here with you, but you brought that out, and he's worried about staying out of jail, and oh my goodness, wow. You have a serious self-awareness problem, as most Democrat media people do. You're just spewing stuff with no kind of reality attached to it. Does he look tired? Well, let's see. You put him through a legal thing where you kicked in his front door and he had to go to court every single day for I don't know how long. And then you tried to shoot him, not once, but twice. One time you did shoot him. And so I think there would be a little bit of worrisome showing on his face. But we've also seen his events where he comes back looking completely refreshed. Like almost anybody would if they're worried about, are they going to shoot at me again today?
JD when Vance. It's inevitably over. JD Vance, you're sure of that?
Well, I mean,
you mentioned Marco Rubio in the interview.
Yeah, I just don't see that. I don't. Donald Trump, I think Marco Rubio is a chess piece to Donald Trump. I think he looks at JD Vance as someone who could be his successor. And I think he's going to play a significant role in a Vance presidency, should Vance become president. Anyway.
So do you agree with that?
No, I don't think anyone inherits it. You know, what we've seen.
Number 4.
The reason I played that, and I didn't want to piss anybody off, but here's the reason why I played that. It is, let me check my watch, May of 2025. Donald Trump has been in office for a little over 100 days. Why in the hell are we having any discussions about who his successor is going to be? You're telling me you guys have checked out until 2028? There's nothing we can talk about right now. Let's talk about who the successor is going to be. But, I mean, it's 2025. You guys are went into fast forward, warp speed, went ahead. Hey, okay, we can't do anything right now. We're done. Well, who are we going to run against in 2028? See, if you read between the lines what these people are saying, they're telling you, we got nothing. We have absolutely nothing. Let's talk about who we're going to try and beat in 2028. It's only been 100 days. Y'all got a long time to go. If you're already talking about his successor and it's just over 100 days, oh, you got a long 4 years ahead of you.
Rev, that in the Biden administration, we had 5 million people coming across the border illegally over, a couple of years. Much easier to have those deportation numbers up because so many illegal immigrants were coming in. Now the border's quiet. Right. And so again, as we predicted beforehand, it is extraordinarily expensive to deport people. This wasn't going to be as easy as it would have been during the Biden administration because, again, 5 million were let in illegally. They're at the border, and that's what Barack Obama did with his deportations. A lot of these non-judicial deportations were already close to the border, so it was much easier to deport without going through the judicial process that we're talking about.
It is not only more expensive, it then borders on a lot of questions of civil liberties for people that are legally here, because now you're going into the mainland of the United States and you're grabbing people.
Wait. Did he just admit that Joe Biden let in 5 million people? I'm pretty sure I watched it twice, and I'm like, did they just kind of yada over that? Oh yeah, Joe Biden let in like 5-6 million people, but it would have been easier to go ahead and deport them because they were still close to the border. And then I don't know what Al Sharpton just said. They're here legally. No, they're not. and I think about who sits in front of the television and listens to this and doesn't throw up. What? Wait, what? Did you just admit that he brought in 5 million people that you know of? Yeah, okay. And the other idiot's like, yeah, and it would have been easier before. Well, then why didn't he do it? Why didn't he do it? If it would have been easier from before, then why did he do it? Why did he let him in? Oh, that's right. Now they're here legally, he says.
No due process, who maybe should be here legally, and who are, in the cases of Garcia, the wrong people. So when it was done at the border with Obama and
I know some of you guys hate watching this stuff, but I try to let you guys see how crazy this is. It makes no sense. He's the wrong guy. Wrong guy for what? Nobody felt it necessary to correct him and say, what do you mean wrong guy? No one's... Wow.
And Biden, you had less risk of that.
Number 3.
No respect for any religion except himself.
And ultimately, this is about propaganda, right? And I think Ruth Ben-Ghiat made this point earlier in the show, which I think is very important. You know, even if they do this in jest, and J.D. Vance came out and said that this is a joke, or he can take this as a joke, he ultimately is pushing the boundaries of what we think is acceptable, normal, joking behavior. Donald Trump is not a comedian. And for me, where I draw the line is, look, if he makes this offensive comment as a private citizen on his own private individual account, so be it. But the problem is that it gets reposted by the official White House account. That is your account, my account, everyone's account. That is our taxpayer dollars that are paying for it. The White House official social media account should not be mocking American Catholics or Catholics around the world, but certainly not American Catholics who are going through a period of mourning right now and whose tax dollars should not be used to mock their religion in any way, shape, or form.
And earlier today, you were talking about some of the hypocrisy here.
Yes.
That you know, there was a lot of Sturm und Drang about the use of the Last Supper during the
Paris Olympics, and then they were offended by that, but this one, they were.
Well, I can guarantee you the attention.
Excuse me. I want you all, if you happen to live near it, I live near it, to take some pictures about what you're about to see throughout the month of June. And if you go back and look at some of the things that Obama did and Biden did while they, you know, on Easter, the holiest day of Christianity and Catholics, on Easter, what did Joe Biden do? I'll wait for it. It was a Transformer Day of recognition. Good gosh. Do you remember? On Easter. I'm thinking to myself, oh, self, do these people just not realize we have memories? We remember the pictures of the fake boobies being held up on Easter. You remember? That just wasn't an official post. That was the actual White House and the grounds that we pay for. And then how about when you awash the White House in all of the colors of the rainbow? No, I don't think there were any Catholics offended. I don't think there were any Christians offended with that. Silly people. I know, we should just get over it.
American online platforms have become seas of racism, misogyny, anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, and hate in all its forms. And they're being used by criminals to harm our children. My government will act. And today we're announcing our plan to fight crime, to protect Canadians, and to build communities that are safe, secure, and strong. A plan to make Canada secure, to make Canada strong.
So I was hoping today when that guy was sitting with President Trump, that President Trump would turn to him and say, what the hell are you talking about? I just watched you do a speech, dude, where you're talking about censoring your whole country. Is that what you're going to be doing? Because Canada, that's what he said. I'm about to flip the switch and none of you guys have the ability to discern anything because memes are bad and it's, you know, it's so homophobic and claustrophobic and xenophobic and all the other phobies. I'm here to protect you both. Wow.
And you want me to sit in my seat and stand idly by and allow this craziness to happen? You can come after me if you want, but you elected me to stand up. You elected me to use the law. You elected me to go to court. You elected me to continue to challenge this administration. You elected me to stand up for the least of God's children. You elected me to continue fighting on, and I will fight on.
I saw somebody said in the comments that she'll never get convicted based on the documents that some guy had seen. And I'm like, I don't know what he's looked at, but I've actually looked at the mortgage documents. And if you haven't looked at the mortgage document and the loan that she actually took out and how it was for, you know, a single family versus her living there, it's going to be very hard. The only way she doesn't get convicted, the only way that I'll go out and say she doesn't get convicted, if they somehow get her case in front of some liberal judge. If they get her in front of the right judge, which hopefully Pam Bondi could do just the opposite of what the Democrats do. Say, hey, listen, we're not going to deal with this crap. We are going to put it in front of a judge that's got some sort of sense about him. Then she's toast. She's toast. She's got to count on it being put, I don't know where the properties are. I think it was Virginia. She's got to hope that she gets a judge that, will look the other way because she's, Big Letty. That's about it. So that's crazy. So I want you guys to know.
Yeah, we're going to see the big showdown with Letitia James. She committed a crime that she's trying to accuse Donald Trump of doing, calling the cattle, calling the pan black. So I can't wait to see what happens these next few months. And have you guys noticed that they've been awfully quiet about the Diddy case? It's so quiet, no news coverage, no media coverage, just a little teeny bit every day. Wow, I have a funny feeling that he's just gonna disappear. This is your boy Doug. Thank you for riding with me this morning. We are in Woodstock, Georgia, and I'll probably be back later on today. Y'all guys stay dry. Peace out and love.